Hi, my name's Anna, and I'll be showing you how to paint on a mini canvas. The first thing you're going to do is grab a paper towel or something to protect the surface you're painting on. Next, you're going to grab your paint, your canvas, and a cup of water. Now I'm just going to take my paintbrush out and I'm going to use the back of it to pierce the back of the canvas, and that's just so I can easily take off the plastic. If you have any paint or paintbrushes at home that you'd rather use instead of the ones provided, you can grab those. I'm going to be using these 3 paintbrushes instead just because I like having different sizes, but I will be using the original paint. I recommend walking around outside, or you can even look up pictures online for inspiration. Here are 2 paintings that I did of a flower and a ladybug. And here's a more advanced one that my younger sister did with some trees and then a little cabin. Once you find your inspiration, you're going to set aside your canvas and grab one of the pieces of white cardstock paper. That way, if you make any mistakes, you don't have to worry because it's not on the canvas. Even if you're painting something with just one color, I always recommend using a little bit of another color to add some texture. If you want to know how to paint the flower, I'll show you how to do this next. What you do is to dip your brush in the water just a little bit and then put it on the color you want. I'm grabbing brown. You really don't need a lot of water to get paint, and then I just started doing little dots in the middle. Next, I'm going to add some red and yellow to add an orange hue to my brown and to add texture. Then again, I'll dip my brush in a little bit of water and I'm grabbing some yellow and I'll be adding the petals. To do the petals, you're going to kind of make this sort of outward and then inward shape. When working with watercolor, sometimes the pigment doesn't come up as bright, so you might want to wait for it to dry for a couple of minutes and then going over it a second time to get a brighter color. As I go, I'll also add a little bit of red into it to add more color. As you can kind of see, that sort of adds some shadowing in the petals. One thing I wanted to point out is one of the best parts about watercolor is the first layer doesn't show up as well. As you can kind of see, I've made some weird funky shapes here that I'm not too happy with. So as I go around, I can kind of make a different shape to sort of fix my mistake. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of red, not a lot. I don't really want to change the color. I just want to add a little bit so it's like different shades and such. The paper on the petals is starting to get a little too wet, and my brown in the middle is not as bright as I want it to be. So I'm going to let the petals dry for a bit and I'm going to work on the middle. Again, I'm using brown and then I'll also be using some red and yellow. I think I added a little too much red and I didn't let the yellow dry before adding the red. That's why my color is a little darker than the original. But honestly, I kind of like having a more orange flower. You can always make your mistakes into something more beautiful than it was before. Next, I'm going to start on the stem. Remember, if you want to get a brighter color, try to have less water and you might need to let it dry and go over it a couple times. Now for the background, I'm going to take a bigger brush. What you want to do to get the background that I did in this photo, you can do regular brush strokes if you want, but I kind of like this more dotted look. So I'm going to stick it in my water. I'm going to take whatever color I want. I'm going to go with blue. And then you're not pressing, you're just very lightly tapping the color. I don't have enough pigment. So this is an example of when you have way too much water. Since I let my petals dry a little bit, I'm going to go back over them with some more yellow to hopefully get a brighter pigment. Next I'm going to add a little leaf on the stem using the exact same motion I did to make the petals. Just go out and then in. Now make sure it's completely dry. You're going to take a pen, pencil, or a Sharpie. I recommend getting one with the really small tip. And in the corner, the back, wherever you want, just sign your name. Tip to know if it's dry or not, flip it over to the other side and you can see the petals are still wet because the water is soaking through the paper. But luckily it's not on the blue part, so you can still write your name. I made all 3 of these using this paint here. If you want, you can try making a flower like I did. You can use any color, it does not have to be yellow. Or you can take a walk around your backyard or go with your parents on a walk around your neighborhood and look for some inspiration like a little ladybug. After you're done trying it out on the paper, you can then move on to the canvas. Remember to always lay it on a flat surface and then use the easel for display when you're done.